Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to be able to speak to you today. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm very well, thank you. Um, Easy question to kick off with. For people who don't know anything about Harka, what can they expect when they watch it?
To be moved, I guess. I hope. I don't know. You see a powerful story.
And
Mm,
I know you said previously one of the great motivations to play a character such as this, tell a story such as this, is giving voice to the voiceless. People who aren't able to tell their story. So
yeah.
maybe you can say a bit about how you felt when you read the script and why you felt compelled to take on the role.
Well, really, it's something I grew up with, something I hear about all the time, something you know, part of my life. And and when I read it, I just recognized that kind of story and the way it was put, the way it was written. It was right. It was right. It was honest, and it was powerful. So I just had the chance to take this role and this character was beautiful in many aspects, and it was a chance just to represent these kind of people. Yeah, the voiceless, really the people that we don't really talk about, that really are almost a burden, something we don't know what to do with. It's just something that I thought was, for me, very important to show them as the hero. Like I saw them when I was a kid. For me, they were heroes because they were wild, they were honest, they were beautiful in many ways. You don't understand poverty when it's like poverty doesn't repulse you. So you don't know. The way I grew up with it when I was a kid was someone who with people with a lot of charisma and people that are really, special. So that's why I think that was cinematographically and artistically very interesting. I think cinema loves characters, big characters. So I think that was, yeah.
And throughout the film, your character, it's your invocation of the character who's just bristling with authenticity, whether it's sort of the sweat soaked, oil stained physicality of it, but then also kind of this simmering frustration and repression that the character's suffering. And I know I guess method acting might be an exaggeration, but something like that. You went and spent time with people doing this kind of illegal gasoline selling. So tell us a bit about the preparation that you took on and how you really made this role your own.
Well, really, it's a long process, maybe 2 months working on the ideas of the character with Lutfi over the phone. I was in Europe shooting, he was in the US. And then we joined in Tunisia, worked a little bit together, and then I went to isolate myself for a month by myself. Then I went for a week or two with smugglers, spent time with them by myself, really. And then we started shooting, and then throughout the shoot, really tried to keep that mood. And Lotfi enabled me to do that by preventing me from other, you know, distraction from the set or whatever. He really understood the character, and really we understood that it was really important to for him to stay in that bubble, you know. So long preparation, it's very physical because it's very hot. It was 50 degrees. And that was really important in the way the character should be played because he's always outside during the heat and everything. So that changes you so much. So I had to go through that. Definitely. Even during the shoot, I always stayed in the sun, or the people stayed in the shadow, because he doesn't really to experience and see. And I was right, because it just changes you. You don't have the same reaction. You don't have the same energy. Maybe things that, you want to argument, you don't have the strength to argument over it. You just choose your battles. You become very accurate. Your feelings just become very accurate. Your senses become very accurate. It changes you. So it was a metamorphosis that had to operate for me to embody this character.
And in terms of being on the set, working with Lofty, and I think apart from you, pretty much everyone else was a non-professional actor. So, what might have been some of the more challenging moments of the shoot, and also some of the highlights for you?
Some of the most challenging we shot on film, and we had only 3 takes per scene, so that was really challenging. I mean, it's not a lot. So one for the sound, one for the image, and one for the actors. Almost like the idea is that was reality. To it has to be good in the first take, so you only get one shot almost. So it's very that was challenging. What was the other question?
Did you have a moment on the other side of that though that you really enjoyed or was a highlight for you?
Many moments, all of it. It's just the experience of it was very intense and artistically so challenging, artistically so interesting. You push your limit, you push your limit, and that's just something that is priceless when you realize that you're able to do something, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't know I could go that far, and to do it together in a team, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling to feel like you're achieving something interesting, something very powerful together. I guess that's, yeah, the relationship with Lotfi and Safa the script, and you know everybody that was involved. It was teamwork, and that's really the feeling. Talking about the story like that it can be is sad and dark story, but sharing so much love in the process of wanting to be honest and to be artistically at the top level of what you can do is a very pleasant feeling.
And in terms of what people can take away from watching it, I mean, I think there's many layers to it. I mean, of course, I know it's sort of born out of this original figure that kind of sparked the Arab Spring, but it happens in the aftermath of it, sort of 10 years after. So it seems to be raising questions about, where is this sort of promised revolution? Where is this promised better life that everyone was looking for? But then also in the character himself, because it is very much a character study. It's however much it's thrown at him, he seems to resist the idea of being a victim, of completely sort of, letting go to the fate that he seems destined for, and he fights it. So that seems like in that respect, quite an inspiring message.
Absolutely, you're right. That's very inspiring for me too. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. You're one of the rare people that said that. Exactly. He don't want to be a victim. He's a hero for me. He's fighting. He's fighting, and that's that. There's a lot of hope in that. There's a lot of hope in that. Sometimes you feel people complaining, even in Europe or whatever we live, or in the Western world, about situations. But I think braveness is a very beautiful quality in the human being that we shouldn't forget. Being able to take some hits and to still wake up and still do it and still fight, and still continue. If you believe it, do it, continue. Don't stop. If you feel it's your right, if you feel it's not right, well, just act according to it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful messages of the film for sure. If people can take away that would be amazing.
And also this idea, perhaps, that it is money that still is what makes people useful in our society. And without money, you're kind of you're nothing, or you're invisible. And there's a few moments in the film when that becomes very clear. I mean, even or the moment where he's like, the clashing of the worlds, where he goes to the really touristy spot by the beach. And there's just there's something jarring about it. And then of course later in the film, without spoilers, him not even being seen by anybody. So is that also kind of a key part? We shouldn't. Why do we still hold the value of someone about when it comes to how useful you are to society in terms
Well,
of the.
that's a real question. We can ask ourselves everywhere in the world. What is the limit of money? What is it? How does it define someone? To what point? You know, and that's, I think, a very important question to ask ourselves. Nobody's here to tell that it's useful. It doesn't bring you something, but it brings you maybe the ability to do stuff, whatever. But should we judge you according to that? Maybe a little bit. Maybe it tells something about you, but definitely not a whole. And when you outcast totally, and that's the film talks about, that poverty, how how now it's related to a disease, almost something repulsive, something disgusting that we don't want to see, almost something that, we don't want to be close to, you know and that's a big mistake. I think that's a big mistake, because that's something that is constantly on the move. That's not something that is inside of you. It's something that is outside of you, you know so you can have it, lose it. Doesn't define you profoundly. It's just can, like, it's with you for a certain time of your life, or then maybe not. But I think that asks the question, really, should we be that extreme with that? And I think we are pretty extreme with that. You know, when I see the numbers and the reaction to certain things according to money, I feel that it's pretty extreme, definitely. And some people, it's a waste, because some people go walk next to things that are very uh, interesting, and missed it. You know, miss it because they think they know the answer, but they don't. You know, so I think it can be a waste, and that's the problem. So we should be careful about that. And I think that's very interesting what you bring. Yeah, definitely.
And just to sort of, talk a little bit about where you've come from and where you're heading next. I mean, I know you started sort of as a fisherman, you were thinking of doing football, and you've already started this incredible career. So any reflections on that? And of course, we've got things like Extraction 2 coming up. If you can kind of tease what people can expect from that, or any of your other projects.
Yeah, well, Extraction 2 is dropping 16th of June. We'll be in New York to present at 12 and 13. You know, great action film with Chris Hemsworth, Golshifteh Farahani, Tonya K. Guardaccioni. It's really, they push the level and of action to a point where it's artistically very, very interesting to watch. I think it's the entertainment put to a level where it becomes artistically very interesting. So that's an experiment, I think, to definitely have. And it's going to be very, very cool, I think. And people are going to dig it strongly. It's going to be good. And then I have, a few, three things that are in edit and they are coming soon. And about my life, yeah, still, didn't make it as a footballer, but still watching football. Tonight is Champions League, you know.
And I guess, what might be the contrast between doing a film like Harka to Extraction 2, and what might be the relative appeal of those both things? Perhaps always throughout your career being able to do, the more like indie stuff, and the huge, Netflix type productions.
Well, from both, you progress as an actor. You learn different stuff for your craft, for your technique. You work with different people, different way of seeing cinema. It's almost a different cinema, so it's always interesting to go in new horizon, and then bring things that I learned, for example, in something like Extraction, bring into Harka, and the opposite too. And I think that's very, very important, because, for example, in films like Extraction, it's really about being almost the head of your own craft, like the head of your department. You just go and you act and you do what you know how to do. And there's so many things and stakes, so many complicated to achieve technically, that almost we don't have time to direct. Like, you direct, almost you arrive ready and you arrive with your character each, but it's almost like you have to be independent in a way. Or in another way, it's just like, but so you become very aware about the other craft and the other people's work, the sound, the technical. There's not someone who's on someone, the actor is not. It's just like people are brilliant, like the decor, the costumes, that it's so already so many work, so much work. It's so much that you just respect, but the whole, you understand the cinema and how it works, and you just become at the service of many others, and you learned how to work in team. Or in films like Harka, it's more of an experiment into authenticity and the secrets of humans, and you have time to dig more into certain emotion and psychology of where we are right now in the world and stuff. So I guess these two things communicate very good, and it's good to, for example, add some layers in films like Attraction to the characters and try to give them depth more. Try not to be just caricatural and just, and try to really give them an anchor and really try to put them somewhere for it to be authentic. And in other films, maybe try to be more efficient and not to fall into the trap of, you know, losing the attention of the audience and try to be efficient in the way you want to tell a story. So yeah, I guess these two things communicate very, very nicely together.
Mm, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Can't wait for everyone to see Harker in the UK. And I meant to say congratulations on your award. I know you got the in Cannes, so congratulations on that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you.
Nice to chat to you. Thanks. Cheers.
Bye
Bye.
bye.